Hi, I'm Brian Knudtson. I'm the Technical Marketing Manager for SimpliVity Corporation. Today I'm going to talk about the New World Administrator. One of the trends that I've seen recently is towards a lot of different things, pushing us into kind of what I think is a new realm of being an administrator. So 15, 20 years ago, we made the move from mainframe into a distributed environment, and that changed the way that administrators had to work, changed the way that day-to-day job of an administrator was conducted. And what I'm seeing is several trends, several pressures that are happening within IT that are kind of pushing us in a new direction. The first is data growth. There's so much data out there now. Pretty much every vendor is proposing new solutions based on this growth. Trying to shrink down, deduplication, compression are all big things these days because there's just so much data. Trying to keep up with all that is part of the problem that we see, and that's resulted in much larger data centers, much more stuff that we have to manage. Agility of the business translates to agility to IT. So IT needs to be willing to move quickly, to be able to do things in a last minute type notice, to be able to put all this together and get things going for the business as quickly as possible so it can be realized as profit or some sort of business advantage. DevOps is a movement that's coming through. Automate things, get things moving in a way that we can software define it and programmatically move things around and do things, to configure things, to have stuff happen automatically. And whether it's actually being implemented or not within a business, whether it's going to gain an advantage there, oftentimes management is pushing for that. They're saying we need to do DevOps, we need to do more of this, and that's putting pressure on IT to be able to do those types of things. Convergence, of course, is a big movement today. Most people are aware of what's going on there. They see, it really comes down to simplifying the environment, whether it be for purchase, whether it be for administration, whether it be just for the number of things to deal with. Convergence is a big movement that's pushing things down. Cloud, of course, is the buzzword of the decade. Everybody is looking at what their options are for private, public, or even hybrid cloud, to be able to make these things work more flexible, to add in the ability to burst out, the ability to take away the complexity and push out administration further out into the environment, possibly even to the end users. Third platform, this platform as a service capability, again, trying to simplify even further. Let's get rid of infrastructure. Let's get rid of the operating system. Let's get to the point where we write the application for the cloud and it runs in the cloud and we don't care about anything else below it. And being able to make those as native as possible to run through that. Of course, security goes across all these stages. We see all sorts of vulnerabilities being announced and released. We see issues with companies like Target that have data leakage. Every week we hear something security related. And finally, of course, every business is asking IT to do more with less. We're going to shrink down this environment as much as possible. We're going to get as many administrators or as many systems per administrator as possible because there's a direct cost benefit to that. And all of this kind of is happening all at once. It's causing a lot of pressure on IT to do different things, to develop a new way of doing things. What I'm seeing based on that are kind of three different things that I'll run through real quick that will help you enhance your ability to move forward in this new era of administration. So step one, learn to automate. Learn to code in some language, learn PowerShell, learn Puppet, learn Chef. These applications, these frameworks that allow you to manipulate a software-defined data center. The push towards software-defined data center is an important one because it allows the capability to use code to manipulate the environment, where normally we'd have to physically go to it and put a new switch in the rack or to put a new server in the rack. If it's software defined, you can have a stack of generic servers, push down an image and have it automatically power on and be able to do things in a much quicker, much shorter time frame in which nobody actually has to go to the data center and potentially screw something up. So automation comes in a few different ways. The first one kind of tends to be that let's automate one thing that we have to execute in a very specific way. We tell it to go do this, it goes and does this, and still introduces some potential for error, some problems that could arise based on the implementation of that particular tool. Kind of the next step becomes you have a tool that'll go through and do things. You're directly manipulating it. You're pushing it out there, and it can do a series of tasks. It can complete the entire task on its own, but you're still kind of involved with it. You're still the person that's kicking it off. You're executing it. You're pushing it out, and it's good at that one thing. Then you kind of get to the end game at some level where it's doing a series of tasks. It's doing it over and over again for you, and it knows what to do, and you don't ever have to monitor it, and it just kind of does its own thing and does that one thing that it's supposed to. Moving up the stack is another way to move forward. So as we simplify the infrastructure that we've built over all these years, as we simplify this with convergence and with the cloud, you end up with just the applications and some automation orchestration on top of that potentially. So bringing in that automation capability, also look at the business applications. In all reality, that's where the business is finding value anyway. That's why we're trying to get rid of that stack of stuff. That's why we're trying to converge and hyper-converge and simplify all of that, move to the cloud, move to that third platform, and get rid of all the stuff underneath it. That doesn't bring value to IT or to the business directly. It's the business applications and what the applications can do that really provide the value to the business. And finally, go wide and deep. So we've talked a lot in IT, there's a lot of silos, there's a lot of specialization that people do. We're getting to this point where with network virtualization and storage virtualization and compute virtualization, that we're able to not have to be super specialists in all those. We can abstract out the really deep complexities that we've had to know about storage in the past. So the ability to wear many hats, to be able to understand all of these pieces at a very functional level is going to be a core skill set for people that still want to get under the data center floor and mess around with networking and all these things. Being able to understand how they interact with each other. Virtualization admins honestly are on the perfect path already. Because they've had to understand storage, they've had to understand networking to be able to put together this virtual environment, and all of them come together to make an environment that actually works. So having to understand them, as you know, if you've been running VMware for any number of years, you probably have a better appreciation than you ever did before on all the different pieces and parts that go into that. So understanding everything and being a specialist is no longer going to be the case. It's going to be a generalist like SMBs have tended to be, but you're going to have to be deep in those technologies as well and be able to understand how they work so that you can interconnect them all together. So that's what I've got. Take a look at these things and try to understand these different technologies, and they'll definitely help you out with your career going forward.